Mindshift, a PLCS Empowerment Collective podcast. I am one of your hosts, Christopher. Happy to be here today.
And I'm Deb Anderson. It's nice to be here today.
And Deb, you said the phrase anger management in a meeting that we were in together. I don't even remember what the meeting was about, but you said that phrase and I thought to myself, ooh, that would be a good podcast topic. And then when I brought it up to you, you got a little spicy about it.
Yeah, because I don't believe in it. I don't believe in anger management. I think anger management is stupid. And I know those are strong words. And here's why. We don't tell people to have sadness management. We don't have tell people to have happiness management. So I think the reason that we are telling people to manage their anger is because we're uncomfortable with it.
I mean, I certainly am uncomfortable with anger. I don't know what to do with it. And that's a pretty hot take there, Deb. So I'm excited. We have an expert joining us today. And we'll find out if she shares that opinion or what she's got to tell us about anger management. So please introduce yourself.
My name's Anita Akers. I work at Focus C3. I've been a therapist since 2007. So I think that we all have different emotions, and I think they're all okay to have. It's just how we demonstrate those. And so I think that might be more of the key is people learning how to regulate their own emotions, good or bad, and being able to demonstrate those to others in a healthy way. So yeah, at first, Deb, I was like, what are you talking about?
Well, Anita, if you think about anger management and the way in which it's used, it seems as though we use it with populations of people where we are uncomfortable with the way they show their anger. So I think of interpersonal violence, and you have somebody who's a perpetrator of interpersonal violence. It's not uncommon to say you need to go to an anger management class. Like somehow that's going to fix it. And I think we haven't taught, honestly, this is what I think. I want to know what you think. I think we haven't taught our kids how to do just what you said, is how to manage their emotions or how to express their emotions in healthy ways. So I'd like to hear you say more about that.
I very much agree with that. I think that, I think we've kind of got away from it. I think any adult, if that's a teacher, a parent, a grandparent, all of us that are older have the responsibility of teaching others how to show any emotion in a more healthy way. And first we have to understand and identify emotions. Everybody, says that's anger, it's anger. Well, no, if you look further, it can be sadness, it could be fear. And most children that we see, their anger is just really fear.
Can we talk about anger, right? That the term anger, because from a professional perspective, what is anger? Like what happens to our bodies? What happens to our brains when we're experiencing anger?
So anger, for me, it is when your body has some physical, like warmness, sweating, like a type of aggression, like you want to lash out, is how I kind of see anger differing from other emotions. There's like some physical lashing out component. People demonstrate anger in healthy and unhealthy ways. So healthy ways that people can deal with their anger or show it better is like that deep breathing, expelling into some physical activity, expressing it more assertively, or, asking for help. But there are people or individuals that kind of show their anger in unhealthy ways, like rage, yelling, blaming, withdrawing, and those kind of situations.
When we teach kids here at the school district, we talk about the brain and how it develops in our bodies. And so we will often use our hand, and this is not us, this came from Dan Siegel, who talks about you know this, right? The hand model of the brain. Sure. And so your limbic system is here, and this is me putting my thumb in the middle of my palm for people who are listening and not watching. And when we get dysregulated by something, we literally flip our lid where our cerebral cortex, our thinking part of our brain, is no longer connected to our body. One of the things I find so fascinating is this talk about what we need to teach our kids to do is tolerate frustration the older they get. So if we're not teaching them to tolerate frustration, they're going to flip their lid constantly. And they're going to do all the things you said, Anita, and the way they express it.
Well, that's because you mentioned that there are healthy ways to feel anger and then unhealthy ways to feel anger. And that's something that I haven't actually heard before with reference to anger, because I feel like I hear that a lot in with other emotions, right? Like, it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel upset. It's okay to feel this, but I don't ever hear people say it's okay to feel angry. And so as a parent, you mentioned your child is 7, my son's 4. So as a parent, I know I get concerned when he seems angry to me, right? Like if he gets really upset about something and he has that kind of wanting to lash out, so he'll throw something or something like that, right? And so then I see that and I'm like, oh my gosh, is something wrong with my kid? Like, are they going to have anger issues for life because one time I saw them throw something? But anger is an emotion just like any other emotion. So not necessarily a value judgment. It's not a good emotion. It's not a bad emotion. It's an emotion. Is there some sort of relationship between anger and just healthy development?
I think Deb kind of hit it. Like, when it comes to anger, I think that people have such a negative perception of it. And kind of what you said, it is an emotion like any other emotion. And we actually have more negative emotions than we do positive emotions, if you want to keep talking about that another time. But it's literally the expression. So when your child is having that moment, first, it's your job to make sure you can regulate your own emotion and not react, or like you said in the back of my brain, what's wrong with my kid? Is there something wrong? That kid is having an emotion for a reason. And it is your job as a parent to make sure yours is checked enough to come to that kid and say, hey, tell me about that. You don't want to react to that behavior. You want to understand why there is that behavior. If that behavior is so dangerous that you have to step in, that's one thing. But we're so quick to be, stop kicking, stop doing this, stop, and it's like, instead of embracing and saying, I see that you're feeling a lot of emotion right now. How can I help you? Tell me what's going on. Explain this to me. Understanding that, because more than likely that kid is having some reaction based out of fear or insecurity or anxiety that they just need to learn and to be addressed.
Just playing devil's advocate a little bit, I try that and it doesn't always work. And I think that comes back to a little bit of what Deb was saying, being dysregulated, right? That if they are dysregulated, they're not going to be able to answer those questions like, how are you feeling? Or why are you upset? Or whatever. So let's say, going back to my example, Leo's mad about something. He's throwing loveys across the room. I say to him, hey, tell me about what you're feeling right now. And his response is not what I'm wanting, right? So what do I do in that case?
So for my son, if I notice Brian's getting upset, I'll be like, it's obvious you're getting upset. Why don't you take some deep breaths? Do you need some space? Right? So you're cueing them because you've already hopefully had a conversation before, helping them understand emotions before they have those big emotions, right? Then when they can regulate themselves, you're bringing it back. What are you thinking? What's going on? How can I help you? I think it's that parenting piece that people forget. You have to teach before the situation happens. You have to educate before it happens. And the best way you can educate and show is you're the adult. You're their role model. You are literally the first person who teaches them everything. You're the parent. So if you're responding in unhealthy ways or not the best with your anger, the kid's going to do the same thing. There are times, I don't know if you've noticed this with your kid, where I'm like, why does my son act like this? Well, if I want to reflect, probably me. Sometimes it is me. I'll be like, dang, my son's a little bit like me, right? And I don't like that. So I have to change. I have to role model to my son. That's not really good and mommy's not showing it well. So let's do it together. So I think parents need to remember, you're their first role model. So if you can identify those feelings and you can take accountability and you could show those to your kid, then your kid's going to do it. right?
What I was thinking that it's almost like it's three parts. When I'm listening to you, I'm hearing three parts. The first being we teach first when they're calm, and so they understand what emotions are like. The second is when they're having that experience of anger, we let them have it. We don't try to intervene. We just let them have it. So the third part is coming back again and kind of closing the loop on, oh, what just happened? Can we talk about it? And in the middle, it sounds like there's this experience the kid has, which is the worst time to say something like, calm down.
Yeah, because does that calm any of us down? Like, even as an adult, you tell me to calm down, I'll be like, no, you don't get to tell me what I feel. You don't get to tell me what I think. And kids are the same way. And your kids grow up. And when they're teenagers, they're going to be even more assertive about, you're not going to tell me what to do. So I think if parents can understand the importance of their role of being that model, like being proactive, like, let's be proactive about this.
Anita, one of the things I was wondering is we've been talking about being able to express anger in a healthier way. But at what point would a parent say, you know what, I've tried all the things and it's not getting any better? How do you know when now it's a problem?
I think that when it starts really interfering at home and it becomes a regular pattern and it's happening at school, that's when we need to seek help, more additional resources. If that's a therapist, if we need to go talk to the pediatrician and kind of get things checked out, that would be my warning signs for myself.
Are there, so for parents at home who want to help their kids develop better emotional intelligence or help them with anger or any of those other emotions, are there resources that you would recommend? I know Leo technically found this book. It's called The Feelings Ninjas, and it's just a little picture book with ninjas, and each color is a different emotion. And in the book, it actually talks about what the emotion looks like in real life. And then the next page is ways to work with that emotion. And so it's been a good book for him because he's super into it because it's ninjas. And then I'm like, wow, we're actually talking about something sort of meaningful here. Are there other things like that or things that you've used that can help?
So Boys Town Press has a bunch of great resources of books and stuff that I've used. I even have a set of books that are sitting next to me right now that were based off Inside Out and how it identifies each feeling. And then like she mentioned, Dan Siegel, when it comes to like books for parents, like he has not only a good book about just understanding the brain, understanding ADHD, but also how to understand the teenage brain.
Thinking about kind of everything we've talked about today related to anger management, which kind of morphed into just talking about anger and other emotions and emotional regulation. What is one thing that you wish every parent or guardian knew about children and their emotions?
I think it's what I said earlier, that remembering that feelings are not bad, just how we express them. Remembering that they're the role model of the anger. Communication is the key, so encouraging open communication about feelings, allowing your children to express them verbally while teaching them how to articulate it more respectfully. And I think it's us actively listening with them, paying attention to your child's emotion, validating their feelings when they are expressing whatever emotion it is, anger, sadness, or whatever. Listen to it, validate it, and then see how you can move forward with it.
And don't tell them to calm down.
Don't tell them to calm down.
Well, Anita, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate you sharing your expertise with us. And thank you, listener, for listening to Mindshift. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you follow us wherever you get your podcasts. And on our website, plcschools.org/Mindshift, you can find additional resources related to this episode and all of the episodes for more content. And be sure to join us next week for another exciting topic.